This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
It all happened so fast. We have to stop them, Batman.
Whatever they are, they're going to regret stepping foot in Gotham.
This is a big score, gentlemen. It's the Bat! Fire! Fire!
Do I look like a friggin' bat to you?
Huh?
I've read rumors about a supernatural bat creature in Gotham, but I assumed it was an urban legend.
Ninja Turtles?
We came to Gotham to stop Shredder and the Foot Clan.
The man who'll help us destroy this city is right behind this door.
Oh, come on!
Robin, Batgirl, these inmates were the deadliest criminals in all of Gotham. Let's move.
It's time for this city to destroy itself.
Take him down. We need answers.
You're welcome to try.
Think fast! He thought too fast.
We're not your enemy.
This is still my city.
If they're ready for a fight, we bring them a freaking fight.
You are no match for me.
Let's end this.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bat-Fans. Yes, we're still here. This is episode 178, and we're back after not recording our regularly scheduled episode after our last one. There were some scheduling conflicts going on with recording and getting the episode posted, but we're back onto our normal schedule now, and we got a lot of cool, big stuff to talk about, so I'm excited for this one. And joining me, as always, is Dane. Dane, how's it going?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got Endgame, the Batman TMNT
Yes, we do.
movie came out. Game of Thrones, the series finale is tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're recording this on the 18th, and yeah, we haven't seen it yet. So maybe we can give our prediction and see how wrong we are.
Yeah, that's been the case this whole season for me,
Yeah.
being wrong.
Right.
No, but yeah, so a lot of cool stuff has happened since our last episode as far as in the entertainment and nerd world. So like I said, a lot of cool stuff that I'm excited to talk about on this one. So let's not waste any time and get right into it with our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary. So for this one, we're going to be going to a minute, or I should say the 126th minute to the 127th, or the 2 hour and 6 minute point to the 2 hour and 7th minute. So as always, get your relevant media formats like your DVD player, your VHS tape, Betamax tape, your Laserdisc, your Blockbuster video membership card, your Netflix physical media disc. And as always, unless I'm forgetting something, Dane, it's been a while. So I got
HD
Laserdisc.
DVD.
HD DVD, that was the one. I knew there was one, so gotta
There
get that one. So yeah, and of course, your VHS to DVD video recorder. The only way to watch movies. So
Oh yeah, especially like these high tech sort of movies that have like these big visuals, like Endgame or let's say Batman versus Superman, right? That's the only way to watch it.
And I could just imagine, as big in scope as Endgame was, but seeing it on IMAX screens,
Yeah,
that's not the way the best way that to watch the movie. You got to wait for the VHS to DVD recorder.
Or could you imagine if they converted a VHS copy to DVD and they projected it on a movie screen? Can you imagine that?
Oh man, the best quality possible right there.
Yeah,
See,
it's kind of like those like film festivals or whatever, or like you know how like this movie is coming back for one night only, and you got to see it in the theater, and then you see the DVD menu on the screen in the theater.
Yes, they've been Fathom Events have been doing these screenings for the first 4 Batman movies to celebrate its 30th anniversary, which is awesome. But I didn't get a chance to go to any of them, unfortunately. But I did get to see last year Batman '89 on the screen for the first time, which is awesome. And I've seen a lot of people that I follow on Twitter kind of in that same boat that I was last year, where they weren't able to see Batman '89 in theaters, and now this is their first chance, and just saying what an amazing experience it was. So that's awesome. But just hearing you say that makes me wonder like if that was the way they wanted to do it for those 4 movies. You know what? They should do that for Batman and Robin, because I'm really curious to see how many tickets that sold for that screening. But
wow, they actually did it for Batman and Robin.
Yep.
That must have been low. Like
I can imagine.
Like, in
no,
fact,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, when I went to go see Endgame, I went. I actually took the next day off of work, and I went to like a 11 o'clock screening, 11 o'clock screening.
Okay.
It was only me and another person.
Yeah, those even on opening day, because of all the preview screenings at night, I imagine those first few like Friday morning screenings are really empty.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't go on that Friday it came out too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went the week after.
Oh, okay, well, even more so. So I imagine that's might be how similar the Batman and Robin screening might be. So
yeah.
Well, or it could be the opposite, where a lot of people just want to go to see it, have fun, and joke around with it, and have it be a fun movie going experience. So maybe it will sell pretty good. But
yeah, which makes me wonder, like the you know how they have the Lord of the Rings extended edition back to back movies screenings or whatever.
Still like to go to one of those one of these days.
Yeah, what is that, like 12, 13 hours of movie?
It's probably a little over 9, close to 10.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if like they use the DVD, or do they, I mean, because they don't have that on film, right? They only have it on the DVDs, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they use the DVD, or if like there's like a special cut of it that who did those movies? New Line?
Yeah.
Sent out to movie theaters for them to do that,
Yeah, well, Peter Jackson, he maybe did, have versions of it where they're all on film and all that, just to do, because they obviously filmed it that way, but or like maybe printed right away for the first theatrical run. So I'm sure. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm just wondering if like that, those movies, the Batman movies that you're talking about, like, was it just the DVD that they played, or the Blu-ray?
Yeah, when I saw Batman last year, I'm pretty sure it was just the Blu-ray.
Oh, really?
It looked, the quality was pretty much the same as the Blu-ray that I've had.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't start it with the menu or anything like that. I wonder if they just send the theaters discs that just play the movie. And that's it. But
that'd be funny if you seen somebody like pressing the remote. So okay, go to play. Start on chapter 1.
Yeah. So then someone hits the wrong button and it goes back to that chapter again, or puts the commentary track on.
Yeah, not the special features. Go back.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of commentaries, we'll begin our commentary for this minute of The Dark Knight Rises. So, as I said, we're on minute 126, and I'll go ahead and give the countdown. Dan, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
3, 2, 1, play. As sad part is they lose more cops when they throw that grenade.
Is that wrestler guy? Or no? I remember when
so,
he was
yeah.
cast. He was cast, and everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's on it in the movie."
Just like every other actor who was cast in this movie, big or small, wondering what big Batman character they're gonna play. And I always like, we'll see if we get there. I always like this shot coming up as Bane's mercenaries are getting darted in the neck with Batman's sleeping darts. And this is it, Dane, where Batman is going to be officially back in our comic.
Finally.
Yes, there he is. I love the shot of him coming in.
It's been like a year and a half.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And the fire rises right here with the Bat logo.
I don't know if you should do that on ice. That's ice, right?
Yeah.
That the fire is going on. I don't know if you should do that.
I don't want to melt it any quicker. But what does that fire make? We'll have to wait and find out on our next episode.
I don't know what it makes, Tim. It make a smiley face.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil it for you, Dane. So
okay,
we better just move on to our feature.
But before we move on, I just wanted to say, like, you know, when the guy gets hit in the neck with the dart, would that be your reaction, like in real life, if you got like hit in the neck with a dart, or would you be like, "Ow!" Like, what was that, guys? Did anybody else get bit by that bug? Or something?
Yeah, I know exactly what I was going to say. Imagine it's what it feels like he's bit by a bug and went like trying to look for the bug.
Yeah. Wouldn't you be like that rather than just quiet and be like, "Oh, what is this in my neck?"
They're trained mercenaries, so maybe they're used to getting stuff like that happen to them, and just realizing, I'll be going to sleep pretty soon. But with that, we can go ahead and go into our feature topic, which is going to be our movie reviews. But since you brought it up, Dane, we might as well start not with the movies, but with TV. Game of Thrones.
Right.
Season 8 is, it's already almost over. Only 6 episodes, but like I said, it's ending tomorrow. So at the time you're listening to this episode, you'll know how it ends. But as of right now, we don't.
We don't.
But man, talk about, it's like Last Jedi, Batman versus Superman all over again with the season of Game of Thrones. It's been heavily divisive and showing the worst bits of fandom coming out. I mean, the theme of the week has been petitions, and we'll get to that more with our news topics coming up. But I just hate that aspect of fandom where you don't like something, you immediately got to demand change and show your disgust for it and show that it could be done better. But that entitlement that fandom seems to have annoys me to no end. So that's been disappointing. But regardless, I got to speak just for me first. I've been really enjoying this season for the most part. I got into it only 3 years ago, so I haven't been invested in the show since 2011, like a lot of fans have, and reading the books and knowing the mythology of it. But I've read 2 of the books, but I haven't gotten around to finishing the other 3. So I do know the whole thing as far as them moving past the books, I think, since season 6, and just taking what George R.R. Martin told them of how he plans to end his story, and then just kind of building around that, using what he said, but also filling in a lot of the gaps, which has caused a lot of complaints from some people not liking what's been on screen. But I got to say, I've been enjoying it for the most part. It's big in scale. The action's been great, and just tons of surprises, as we alluded to at the beginning. Things I thought were going to happen, not happening the way I thought they were going to play out. But I do agree with one of the criticisms I've been seeing that I agree with, that it has felt rushed this season. The 6-episode count, it really feels in certain instances where they're hurrying to move along to finish the story up and wrap up certain plot points and character development, and how they're going to leave it for some of them. So I do agree that certain aspects of it feel a little rushed, where they were spending more time on certain events would help flesh it out a little better. But I do like how the story is progressing, and just really curious to see how it's going to end tomorrow night. And like you said, your guess will be as good as mine as far as how it's going to end. But I'm still very excited to see how it's all going to play out.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty much on the same boat as you. The first 2 episodes weren't that good. I really liked the second episode. That one was great. It wasn't until the Battle of Winterfell that I really felt like, oh, okay. They are wrapping things up really fast,
Mm.
and they don't really care about story or what they've been building to, which is a good thing. I mean, do what you want. This is your thing, and it's kind of been my sort of philosophy for like the past couple of seasons, where it's just like I'm just gonna watch it and I'm gonna be along for the ride, and I don't really care about any sort of character development or what's going on. I'm just here for what you're gonna tell me, right? And I agree with the people that say that. I mean, especially with Daenerys, like people are saying that like all of this character development has been erased after last week's episode, right?
Yeah, that was the big divisive one, but I actually have the opposite opinion on that.
Yeah, and it goes into my theory of what I think they're gonna my prediction of what they're going to be doing. But for me, I'm just here to watch it. I'm not here to think critically about it. I'm just here for the ride. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is the last season. And just tell me a story and amaze me, which they have with last week's episode, and then what was that called? Ring the bells?
Yeah.
Or something. And then
or was it just the bells? I forget. It might just be the bells. But...
I can't remember. But the Battle of Winterfell, especially with Arya. Like you totally forgot about her. Yeah. Totally forgot about her after she ran off after talking with Melisandre and who's that other guy?
The Hound.
The Hound, right.
Because Beric was killed right before as they were making into that room. We see that whole moment was a surprise. Obviously, I mean, all this time thinking that it's going to be Jon Snow taking down the Night King. But once Melisandre, told Arya, what I told you all those years ago, you'd take out or I forget the exact words, but kill those with brown eyes, green eyes, and then blue eyes. I was like, oh snap, she's gonna be the one to kill the Night King. That's when I first found out. I was just waiting for that to happen. It was like, is it gonna happen in this episode? Is it gonna happen later down the line? But that was such a great moment when she just comes from the background to stab him with the Valyrian steel dagger, the cat's paw, and then he grabs her like, oh no, is she actually going to be killed? Is this the death of Arya? Like, that's out of all the characters we're expecting to die this season. It's like, just don't let it be Arya. She's one of my favorite characters, had such a great arc, and the fact that she's been, culminating to this point where she's going to be the one to take out the Night King was just awesome. At that moment where he grabbed her, like, oh no, they're going to subvert expectations again, where she doesn't do it, but. Nope, she does that awesome move, drops the blade, picks up with the other hand, and pierces him right in the heart. Yeah. And that was a cheer out, like a loud cheer moment. I mean, I was watching it by myself, but I would it be, I'd be lying if I didn't give a little like, fist pump during that moment. It was so great, so unexpected, but I thought such a nice payoff for her character, and then going into fulfilling some of the prophecies and. Foreshadowing in earlier episodes like that, and finding out, why Beric kept being brought back to life by the Lord of Light and all that. What purpose he served was to make sure Arya survived that battle so she can take down the Night King. So I love all that.
Oh, that's the coolest. That's the coolest sword, I have to say.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones, that flame sword.
I forget if it has a name. I know there's that big weapon that called Lightbringer that the Chosen One hero is supposed to have, but I wonder if his had a name. I'm not sure, but regardless, it is a cool visual. And when all the Dothraki got their blades ignited with fire, that was cool, even though it didn't do much.
Yeah, they didn't stand a chance.
So yeah, I loved the Battle of Winterfell. I know some people were disappointed with that as well. And
for what?
I mean, just the fact. Well, I actually have a few disappointments with it, but it's little small things. But the fact that I think a lot of things was that Jon Snow and Daenerys with their dragons didn't really amount to much. Where Army of the Dead and the Night King could have been defeated without them. But I disagree with that as well, because without their dragon battle in the air, which was awesome, seeing the three dragons go at it with each other, Arya would have never had the chance to take down the Night King if they didn't take him down while he was on his dragon. And just to, even though their army almost seems endless, they did take a good portion out with their dragons. And imagine if they didn't, how overrun Winterfell would have been, and probably wouldn't even stand less of a chance if they didn't have the dragons. So I still think they had a role to play in defeating the Night King. It just isn't the way we thought. It wasn't the final blow, but without them, Arya never would have had that chance. So I disagree with that. But I know that was a big complaint some people had. And I know you had this too, Dane, but for whatever reason, it didn't really bother me. But the whole thing about the episode being too dark and you couldn't make out the action.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably watch that. I heard people saying they're watching the daytime because on the West Coast it airs or it's ready to stream at 6 o'clock and the sun's still out and the glare could be an issue. But I waited till it's, right when the sun goes down, it's night, and I got no issues with glare, and I didn't have a problem with it. I actually had more of a problem with a few scenes in the very first episode of the season that seemed a little too dark, but not in this one.
Yeah. So it comes out for me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, the sun is pretty much out.
And you don't want to wait.
And I don't want to wait, right? So I had to take my laptop or we have a little like walk-in closet. And I had to watch it in there.
Pitch black, nothing you can get through.
Yeah, I mean, I could not see any. I don't know if it's just my eyes. Maybe I got bad eyes. I just could not see anything. A little bit of a criticism for me on that part, but as for that one episode, the third episode, was it?
Yeah, the long night.
I had no problem with anything that happened in the episode. My only nitpick is we didn't get to see the cleanup after.
So that's probably, if it had a 10 episode count the season, we would have gotten something like that.
Yeah, it was like, did you see how much bodies there were?
Yeah. Well, maybe the dragon.
Like a dragon
burned them and ate them.
Yeah, but you're eating a zombie, right?
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of the people that died on the hero side turned back into zombies like a few minutes later. But see, my biggest complaint about the episode was this, in the whole season in general, the lack of respect that Ghost has been shown.
I know, right?
First of that episode where it's like, cool, he's in it, we're going to see him in action. Then he goes off with the Dothraki and we don't see that action. I think it works good for a thematic episode storytelling standpoint where the battle's just getting started. You don't want to, start off with a bang right away. You want to build it up. I think it worked in showing just how, big of a threat the Army of the Dead is going to be, where you're not seeing the action, but it's coming later on. But the fact that Ghost was part of that, we don't see him come back in the episode. I'm thinking, oh man, he's dead. And we didn't even get to see him go out. Like, what a disappointment. And then in the next episode, we see he survived. Thank goodness, I should add. But, we see like he's missing an ear, he's beaten up. And then Jon just says to Tormund, take Ghost with you. He'll be much happier up in the north, which is fine. But he doesn't even get to say goodbye. Like, can't even go up, pet him a little bit, say a thank you, give a tearful goodbye, put his head on Ghost's head. Nothing. He just gives him a look and walks away. Like, come on. It was just really short change, and that's like maybe my biggest issue this season, because I love all the dire wolves, and where there's only 2 left. And Ghost.
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't even in last season.
Ghost and Nymeria.
Yeah. Nymeria.
Nymeria, right. At least he survived, Tim.
Exactly. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I'm not expecting him to show up.
And he gets to live as a free direwolf.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. So that's the good thing of it. I just wanted to see Jon say goodbye to him, but I guess it wasn't in the budget.
Yeah. Also, the I forget her name. Jorah's, is it cousin?
Is his niece or cousin? I'm not sure, but it's Lyanna Mormont.
Yeah, Lyanna Mormont. she went out killing a giant.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
The littlest soldier on the battlefield taking out the biggest one.
The big-
That was awesome. Yeah.
And Jorah dying.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably on my top list of characters who wouldn't survive that battle.
Yeah.
But he went out in a great way, though, protecting Daenerys. And what other way could he go out? So I was actually kind of surprised not more main characters died there. I was expecting maybe Brienne or Jaime to die in that battle, but so a lot of most of the main characters survived, I should say. So the body count wasn't as high, even though they lost a lot of people, characters since the beginning. But I thought it was going to be higher.
I think that was just let's clear the slate of all these minor characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that the next couple of episodes we can just focus on the main guys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
so that's what I think they were doing.
No, that's probably right. But I will say the big emotional deaths came, for me anyway, at the next episode. Seeing Rhaegal the dragon die, that was tough. I mean, I probably feel more of the loss when I see the animals die on the show, even the dragons. Seeing them as whatever small little baby dragons, and now there's only one left. But seeing Rhaegal die the way he did, getting shot with those scorpions, first in the chest, then in the head, it's either I was like, no.
Well, at least he didn't turn evil.
That is true.
Depending on if you agree with Daenerys or not. I guess.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then the end of the episode where Missandei gets beheaded by Cersei in the mountain, I was like, oh no, seeing the reaction on Grey Worm's face and Daenerys was like, oh man. And they talk about foreshadowing. I mean, you should have seen it right there in that episode. Her last words, Dracarys. You knew Daenerys was going to take that to heart and probably really act on it, which she did. And that's why I got to say, I don't really have a problem with what she did or seeing what she did in the last episode, The Bells. I mean, it was horrible to see. I mean, as a viewer and someone who loved the character for all these seasons of her being in it, knowing that, this is what she's been leading to, going to King's Landing to take the throne, and she got it, but it wasn't enough. So, and then she just went full blown, the term is being used, Mad Queen, burning the city. And it was tough to watch, because you hated seeing the character do it. But at the same time, it wasn't something where it's like, oh, how could she do this? It feels so out of the blue. And I keep seeing the word not unearned. And I don't agree with it, because not only in that episode, but just the seeds that were planted in other episodes throughout the course of her journey, all the way from season 1, you saw hints of that. She could go down that road. I mean, the seeds were there that could happen. But it took the events of the previous episode where she lost her other baby dragon, her other son, she's the mother of dragons, so they're her children. She lost one already, and then she just lost her second one. And then she lost within, who knows how long, with a short period of time, she lost probably her best friend, her trusted advisor in Missandei. And not to mention, like you said, Jorah not too long before. So everything is just, crashing down her all. Everything she's built, the friends she's made, her children, it's all being lost ever since she came to Westeros. And knowing that she feels betrayed by Jon Snow, telling Sansa about him being Aegon Targaryen and the rightful heir to the throne. So all that came to a point when she was looking out at the Red Keep in King's Landing. It's just like all that stuff happened, and this is what she's been waiting for. And it seemed like that Targaryen instinct kicked in right there. It was the wrong choice. And I got to give props to my co-host Kyle on the Saga Continues for making this comparison I didn't think of, but it was very similar to Anakin, where it was more of making a big choice in a big moment, but it ended up being the wrong choice that leads her down a dark path, kind of similar to what Anakin did. I like that comparison because I think it makes sense, where things, can change in the course of a second. You just make that one decision based on, past events that happened to you. So. Oh,
and then you made the wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I think from a narrative sense, it makes perfect sense.
Kyle is smart.
Yeah, he is. He's shown some light on different perspectives on many topics in our conversation. Wow. Star Wars and now Game of Thrones. So, yeah, like I said, tough episode to watch as far as seeing the destruction and Daenerys go down that road. But I think from a narrative standpoint, it makes sense. And I thought at first I was watching, it was like I said, tough to watch and left with a weird feeling. But after thinking about it and talking to people and seeing other reactions for it and other viewpoints, I kind of think it's a great episode, and I just really can't wait to see how it's going to wrap up and end tomorrow night. What's going to happen to Daenerys? Is she going to survive this? Is Jon Snow going to have to kill her? Will Jon Snow die or sacrifice himself and show her, with him dying, show her that her way was wrong and to become the ruler that she said she'd be? So I don't know. This, like you said, don't want to make too many predictions because it's probably going to go every other way than what I'm thinking. But
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be exciting to see it all unfold tomorrow night.
Well, you see, I had it sort of the other way around with Missandei and what's his name?
Rhaegal, the dragon.
No, Grey Worm.
Oh, Grey Worm. I thought he was meant
Yeah.
the character's Daenerys lost though.
I thought he was gonna die in the Battle of Winterfell,
Yeah, I thought so too.
and then she was gonna survive. So kind of had that one backwards.
Yeah.
But unlike you, I didn't really see Daenerys changing to evil leading up to that point in last week's episode. And it took me by surprise. And as I was watching it, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I even asked you, like, why is she doing this? Like, she doesn't have to kill everybody. Like, she can just take the Red Keep. I'm sure Jaime will get Cersei out of there. And she would just go off and you'll never hear from her again, right?
Mm.
So, like, why does she have to do this? And, it is upsetting, but I really liked the character switch on Daenerys, right? Because for me, I didn't really see this coming. I mean, there are hints, especially when she killed the slave masters in was it Marine?
I believe so.
Yeah. And then looking back, you can see all of that. But like at the moment, I was like, why is she doing this? Like, I thought she wanted to be a good queen. She wanted to be a different queen. She wanted to be a different ruler, right? But then it sort of, informed me on like how I think this season, this show, the story is going to end, right? And I guess I'll give my prediction of how it's going to end, and Tim, you can do yours. I think she's going to take the throne, and nobody's going to kill her. She's going to kill everybody, and she's going to repeat what's been done before, right? Because if you look at the last three kings and queens, Cersei, Robert Baratheon, and that other Targaryen, Jeff
I forgot
Targaryen,
Joffrey too.
Joffrey. They, I'm sure, had, except for Joffrey and Cersei, had good intentions, but then they ended up being, lazy or violent or greatly mismanaged the Seven Kingdoms, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. She's going to take over the throne. She's going to be just another queen or just another ruler that's ineffective and violent and will kill anybody that, shows any sort of criticism to her ruling. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Man, that'll be a bleak ending. I know the word's been thrown around that's been used to describe it as bittersweet. So there's got to be some type of happy ending mixed in there somehow.
Yeah. Or maybe Jon gets away and he lives happily ever after.
See, I think one of them's going to die tomorrow. It's either going to be Jon dying or Daenerys dying. I just don't know which one. And I think they're setting up for Arya to maybe attempting to kill Daenerys because, her whole thing was to get to King's Landing to kill the queen. And of course, that was Cersei. But now I think that mission still stands for her, except it just changed to Daenerys after seeing what she did and living through that. And man, from a technical standpoint, what a great directing and just showing the destruction of King's Landing from the perspective of just the regular citizens, and Arya there, just really good of capturing how destructive and terrible that moment was. So I think that could happen. I'm not sure. I really don't know, to be honest with you. Like I said, is it something where John's gonna have to kill Daenerys to know that she, went evil, or is she gonna find redemption in some way? Maybe that'll have to deal with the death of John. And will the Iron Throne even still be there? I always felt that maybe it's probably going to be destroyed and something's new going to have to start up, where a new monarchy or just a new way of ruling without the Iron Throne or kings and queens and all that. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe a democracy will form in Westeros. Maybe that will be the happy ending. But
yeah, I think it was George R.R. Martin himself who said that, or when he was asked, how will it end? He said, everybody's going to be dead. So maybe everybody's going to be dead,
Oh, I just hope Drogon survives, because I don't want all the dragons to be killed off. That would be really disappointing. See the birth of 3 new dragons and they all end up dead by the end of the series. That would be disappointing to me. But
yeah, him and Wolf.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the bittersweet ending. Maybe
it's just the dragons and the wolf that survives,
Yeah.
Would that really be so bad? But we'll find out tomorrow, so
yeah,
we'll be sure to tell you what we think of the final episode once it airs and we record our next episode. But it's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. But with that, we got moving on to the movie aspect. We got the ending, full ending anyway, of one bit of, I guess the first chapter of storytelling, and that is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Avengers Endgame. It is just crushing it at the box office right now. I think you said before we started recording, Dane, it's at 2.5 billion right now, which is insane. I mean, it hit $1 billion its first weekend. That's just crazy. And this could be the movie to take down Avatar as the biggest film financially of all time, which I'm rooting for, because if it could be a comic book movie or a superhero movie that holds that title, I mean, I should say a comic movie or a Star Wars movie to hold that title, the biggest movie of all time, that would be awesome. But even though, it doesn't matter in the end, but since those are my 2 favorite movie genres, Star Wars and comic book movies, that's what I want to say up top. But regardless of box office numbers, want to talk about what we thought of the movie and how we felt that it ended this first big part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's being dubbed as the Infinity Saga now. So a lot of character arcs wrapped up, storylines got completed, but was it done in a successful, satisfying way? And I'll let you start off with this one, Dane, since I began with Game of Thrones. So what did you think of Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to think of things that people haven't said, in reviews or on Twitter or something.
Yeah, because it's been out for a few weeks now.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to just keep things short, I'll just say I loved it.
Nice.
I thought it was really good, really well done. I haven't seen all of the Marvel movies, especially that second Thor movie.
Okay. Which incidentally played a big part in this movie.
Yeah, so.
Oh, we should say too, in case you're one of the few who haven't seen it, like my younger brother who hasn't seen it, there's going to be spoiler stuff in this discussion. So.
Oh, right. We should have said that with Game of Thrones too.
Good point. But
we can do there.
By the time this episode goes out, which will be next coming Thursday, hopefully everyone. There'd been almost 2 weeks before the last episode aired. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the short of it is I loved it. Didn't expect to. I thought I was just going to be lost, and for the most part I was, but yeah, I loved it. Little bit too long, especially when they get the gang back together, or they are getting the gang back together.
Okay.
I was like, okay, we can cut a little bit of this off and make it under 3 hours. But yeah, overall I liked it. I kind of had a feeling that Iron Man, Tony Stark, was going to die, but I thought they handled it great. I like I especially like the ending for Captain America, where he goes back to live with
Peggy Carter.
Peggy Carter. Sorry, I blanked on her name a little bit. And what's his name is going to take over Captain America, right?
Yep. Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon.
Yeah, the Falcon. Sorry. But yeah, I'm really curious to hear what you think because I know you follow these movies. I know you love these movies. And I know you know these movies like the back of your hand, Tim.
Almost.
But yeah, I guess if I had a criticism for it, A, it's too long. B, and again, it's the same kind of complaint I have with all of Marvel movies, and I don't know if it's just so that the projector at the movie theater has an easier time, but all of the movies look incredibly plain. There's no real look to them.
Really?
Yeah, so that's my only criticism. But besides that, I'm gonna let you go because I know you know what you're talking about because I don't have any idea what I'm talking about, and I was kind of lost.
I will say that's good for the movie itself. Like you said, haven't seen every Marvel movie, but still you thought it was great and was able to enjoy it for the most part.
Yeah. Can I just ask you one question?
Yeah.
Why was Thor in Norway, and how did he get there?
Well,
what's that?
Well, of course he's been on Earth, and I believe that in Thor Ragnarok, that's where Odin died, where him and Loki were there with Odin for the last time before he passed away. So maybe I think that's where he felt that he wanted to build new Asgard there. But have you seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Okay, because that Asgard blew up and the Asgardians had no home. So
right at the end of that movie, right?
Yeah, and before they were going to go to Earth, but they got attacked by Thanos in Infinity War. So whatever Asgardians were left, which wasn't a lot. I mean, Thanos killed half of them when he attacked their ship, and then half got wiped out again when he did the snap. So there wasn't too many. So that's why they're in that small town in Norway, aka now New Asgard.
Yeah. And why was Hawkeye in Japan? Is he just like a mercenary?
Yeah, he's going around killing criminals.
Oh, right. The Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked his motivation for that too. He lost his family and just felt the injustice of it all where, good people died, but like criminals and murderers, the ones that did survive, it's not fair that innocent people died or you're still here, so I'm going to take you out. I mean, It's a dark path to go on, but I thought it was a really interesting one that fit the character for Clint Barton, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Also, don't really like the new look for... Is it a new look for Hulk?
Yeah, definitely.
Where he, David Banner can sort of...
You mean Bruce Banner?
Bruce Banner, sorry.
Not the old 60s or the 70s show.
yeah, Bruce Banner. How he can sort of like control it now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that what that is?
Yeah. In the comic, it's referred to as Professor Hulk, where it is kind of, both of the personalities as one, which I think is a cool aspect to explore for the character. I was glad to see that was the route they went with, knowing that it is, 5 years later since Infinity War, and it wouldn't make sense for Hulk and Banner to work out their differences and problems that they had during Infinity War. And the solution they reached was kind of coming to a compromise where both of them inhabit, the same space within the Hulk and Bruce Banner. So I thought that was pretty cool.
But I also like the Thor and Hulk dynamic. I think that's really good, like we saw in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I really like that dynamic.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, was that Natalie Portman?
I've read it was unused footage from Thor: The Dark World.
Oh.
So she didn't come back to film any new scenes, but they just used some stuff they didn't use for that movie to make it seem like it was new.
Man, she is done.
Yeah, well, I was surprised that she was actually at the premiere for Endgame, which made me thought, maybe she did film something really quick for Endgame, but apparently not. She just got a premiere invite because she was in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I guess after the prequels, she was like, you know what, no more franchises.
Well, that's not true because she did Thor. That was after the prequels.
Yeah, but then she wasn't in any other one, right?
No, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a franchise, but she's gonna do one, and then I'm done.
Yeah, for now anyway.
Yeah.
No, but for me, yeah, I just gotta say, like you, I loved it, and I'm gonna use the word I hardly use. It was pretty much perfect, especially in the way it ended this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and ended the storylines for a lot of characters to just come to love over the past 11 years. I could not have asked for a better ending and send off for these characters that we got in Endgame. It was just beautifully done and just delivered so much great payoffs. And the big scope and scale of that final battle sequence, my goodness, that's like a comic book dream come true. I mean, ever since we found out Infinity War was going to be a movie that's going to pretty much combine most, if not all, of the characters we've seen in the previous movies, the nerd in me started fantasizing about scenarios we could get in something like this. A big battle that we could get with all the characters we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe all together on screen for one gigantic battle. Are they going to do that? Because if they do, it's going to blow my mind. And we didn't really get that in Infinity War, and I love that movie. Right now, anyway, I'd probably rank it just a little higher than Endgame. But when you combine the two as just one big, long story, it's fantastic. Almost like a cinematic masterpiece, in my opinion. It's just a great story being told. But Infinity War had a bunch of characters in the movie, but a lot of them were separate and on their own adventures, which worked really well for that movie. So it's not really a knock, but it just wasn't that fanboy scenario I was thinking about seeing everyone on screen, every Marvel character in this universe together for a big battle. And part of me thought, well, maybe they're saving it for the next one, because that's the way you top Infinity War as far as action and scale goes. All these characters are together. And sure enough, that's exactly what we got. And boy, was my mind blown seeing that. I mean, just that moment where Falcon calls Captain America on the intercom saying, on your left, which is a callback to their first meeting in Winter Soldier. And you just see these portals open and every single character is coming out. Not just the characters, but the different armies and organizations like Wakanda, the Sorcerism, the Doctor Strange. You got the Asgardians that were left. Just so much great, you just knew a great epic battle was coming, and it did not disappoint. It was amazing. It was like Lord of the Rings type battle with superheroes. It was fantastic. And every character got their great moment to shine, like a cool action beat, which I loved. It was just, man, and none probably cooler than Captain America wielding Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. I mean, it was teased in Age of Ultron where we can kind of tilt it but not quite lift it. But here, he's full-blown wielding it and just using it with the shield to take down Thanos. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this. It was fantastic. Characters interacting with each other. It's got Spider-Man with Captain Marvel, Rocket with, working with War Machine, Ant-Man being Giant Man, taking down Thanos's, top lieutenants, just squishing them like bugs. It was.
Hey Tim, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So, unlike other people, I only watched one movie in the lead up to going to see Endgame.
Okay.
And I watched Ant-Man versus the Wasp.
Uh-huh.
Or And the Wasp or whatever on Netflix. And that movie has the best end credit scene.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess here and say it's the one with the ant playing the drums.
No.
I thought that was right. We were going with right.
It's when Ant-Man goes into that thing, thing, and then he's like, "Okay, guys, can you pull me out now?" And everybody's gone because Thanos had just done the snap, and he's stuck in there. I just thought that was a great end credit scene.
It was. I remember seeing the theater for the first time, that credit scene. Everyone just going, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
Well, that was a good one to watch before you saw Endgame, because that was the last movie before it, and
really?
Ant-Man played a pretty big role in getting everyone back. So you had a better idea.
Captain Marvel. Oh no, that came out.
Captain Marvel was. You're right. I meant the ones that was available to watch before, like home video wise and all that stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but Captain Marvel comes out in a few weeks actually, so you'll be able to check that one out too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole end sequence just blew me away, and couldn't ask for a better action sequence to, better payoff than anything I could have imagined. Like I said, that was something I dreamed about, and they more than delivered on it. It was mind-blowingly good. But what set it over the top was, the sacrifice of Tony Stark and Iron Man dying. And going into it, I knew one of the big characters was going to die. I really thought it was going to be Captain America. That was kind of the buzz, and it just felt like he would be the one to make that ultimate sacrifice. He's someone who's been fighting for most of his life. He's a man out of time. He kind of lost his life in a way, as far as, losing, the time to spend with the love of his life, Peggy Carter, and missing out on his era, and is still being kind of not so much a fish out of water anymore, but probably not totally used to being in this modern era. And I thought he would be the one to lay down his life for everyone to survive. But
and Tim, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I have all these questions that nobody else but you can answer.
There's definitely more people with probably more Marvel knowledge than me, but I'll do what I can.
So his whole interaction with Peggy Carter was that first movie, right?
Yep.
He knew a woman one time back in the 40s, and then he's in love with her the whole time?
Well, I mean, the movie takes place over the course of, I think, at least several months during the course of the war. So they have plenty of time, I think, to establish a relationship and fall in love with each other.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I had it in my head that this was a week.
No.
movie took place.
Definitely not. So,
yeah.
No, so yeah, I really thought it was going to be Cap, but it was Iron Man. And I got to say, that was definitely the right choice, because who started off this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe? It was Iron Man, Tony Stark, in that first movie in 2008. And one of my favorites moments in Infinity War is when Thanos and Tony Stark have their battle, and Thanos kind of recognizes that Tony is the one as far as who started this whole thing, and has that respect for him. And it all culminates into this big sacrifice that Tony Stark gets the Infinity Stones. That was just a great moment too, where he's able to grab them off Thanos. Thanos thinks he has it, and he snaps his fingers, and he says, "I am inevitable," but it doesn't work. And then you see that Tony Stark has them all in his nanotech glove, and talk about a perfect line delivery for his last words, saying, "I am Iron Man," and he snaps the finger and just gets rid of Thanos and his army, but takes his life. And man, that was an emotional moment. Talk about a character moment in depth that was earned. 10 years worth of movies, and I think it has been in about 9 Marvel movies. Maybe it's 10, but I think for sure 9. And he gets the send-off, this heroic send-off that couldn't be more fitting for his character. And knowing where he came from in Iron Man, being that, just that, cocky, not likable businessman who is self-centered, only cared about himself, to here pretty much saving the entire universe and sacrificing his life for that. So that was really great. And I think the moment that really got me was his funeral, where, man, that's where it really showed that. I didn't cry, but I got a lump in my throat. I usually get lumps in my throat when I get emotional during movies. But
yeah, because if you really think about it, all of these Marvel movies that came after Iron Man are just a sequel to Iron Man.
Well, yeah, you could look at it that way.
So this is Iron Man 25.
Yeah. I think 22, but
22
to be technically correct. But that funeral scene where you got every main characters from the different Marvel movies, it just brilliantly showed that this all came from Iron Man. And they're all there in their little corners. You got the Guardians section, you got the Ant-Man section, you got the Captain America section, the Black Panther section. They're all standing together, but they're all here to pay respects to Iron Man, because without him, I'm going a little meta here, but without him in that movie, none of these characters would be on the screen at that moment paying their respects. So it just worked great in both ways, in the story and in a real world experience, where it all came from Iron Man, that this movie even got made, and we got to fall in love and experience these stories with all of these great characters. So that was an amazing moment. I thought, man, bravo, Marvel, you knocked it out of the park with ending's Iron Man story.
But they also didn't they didn't invite Friday.
Good point. I didn't see
Yeah.
any. Was there an Iron Man suit, like helmet, anything in the background where maybe she could have been present? But
I mean, if you think about it, she's his Alfred, right?
yeah,
So
well, after Jarvis, became Vision, she became, the new AI who was go-to while in the Iron Man suit.
right. So like what's gonna happen with Friday? That's my big question coming out of Endgame. You know?
Maybe his daughter Morgan can activate it.
Oh,
Friday could show her the ropes of how to use Iron Man suit. But then we get to Cap, like you said, and I just thought, okay, cool. Captain America is gonna go, clip the branches, as he said, fix the other timelines to make sure nothing gets too crazy, puts the Infinity Stones back. And then I thought, okay, how are they going to wrap up Cap's story here? Because first I thought he was going to die, but what are they going to do next? And it seems so obvious now, but I didn't think they would go this way. But talk about another perfect ending for a main character. When he showed up as an old man, I was like, oh man, like brilliant. Like I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. But I'm so glad they're doing it this way. At first, when they showed that he was just sitting on the bench, if you see his back, I thought, oh, did he go back to, the skinny Steve Rogers where he didn't take the super soldier serum? But because that's what it looked like. But then
why would you want to live like that?
I know. I don't know why. I thought maybe he changed it where he never became Captain America or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking that. But that's what I thought of. But once we saw him as an older man, I would think, oh man, that's just brilliant. Like he didn't say it yet, but I knew it was coming where he lived the life that he wanted to once he went back in time to be with Peggy, start a family. And I like how he said he kind of gave it or attributed it to Iron Man, saying, I thought I lived that life that Tony told me to live for so long. And he did. And it was just a beautifully done ending for two of the main characters, Iron Man and Captain America. I just could not be happier with it. And the way the film ends with him and Peggy Carter getting that dance, because that was the whole thing at the end of Captain America, the first Avenger, when he was pulling that plane down as it was going to crash into the snow, saying, we never got a chance to have that dance. And she goes like, I'll wait for you. They planned that date, even though they knew it was never going to happen, but they get a chance to get their happy ending, which was awesome. So I just love that. And then you get Thor going off of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which makes me excited about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We know that James Gunn's back. So the characters are going to be, done the right way as they've been established by him. But now you throw Thor into the mix. It's going to be exciting to see play out. So all the main heroes, I felt, got their due. And then you got the other main Avengers. And we talked about Hawkeye and Hulk. But Black Widow, too, that really surprised me how she sacrificed herself for the Soul Stone. I did not see that coming.
Oh,
I thought
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Clint Barton because, as he said, the things I've done, what I've become now, like I'm the one who deserves to die and makes the sacrifice. But I like how, Black Widow felt. She died saving and protecting the only family that she ever came to know with the Avengers, and her making that ultimate sacrifice as well, and how important that was for her to do, and for Clint, her best friend, to make sure he sees his family again. So that was another big surprise, but I thought a nice, it was sucked to see. Was not expecting Black Widow to die in this movie, and it sucked seeing that happen. But at the same time, it felt again a natural way for the story and her character to go. So almost everything about it was done so perfectly, and I just can't say enough good things about it. The only negative I probably will say, I agree with you a little bit, and that especially when I saw it the first time, because I saw it around like a 12:50 a.m. showing, because it was a fiasco missing my original showtime and had to go to another theater.
What happened?
I had to take my aunt to a doctor that day. It was in the afternoon, and again, my local theater didn't have assigned seating, but now it does, and I'm so happy about that. So when The Rise of Skywalker comes out, I won't have to worry about waiting in line all day or making sure I don't get a good seat. But for Avengers Endgame, they didn't have it yet. And I had my tickets, but I knew I had to get there early, and the doctor appointment went a little too long. And I got there an hour in advance before the movie started, but even then it was too late. All the good seats were gone. And I went to multiple theaters, because the first showing was at 6. I went to a 6:30 screening, see if they had seats there, 7, 8. It was like, nope, all full already. Lines getting started. Showtime's getting sold out. I was like, probably gonna have to wait until the next day to see it. Then my brother said, let's just look, at a another theater that's not too far, one that has assigned seating, and the next available one that had the best seats available was one for $12.50. So that's the one we went to. But even then, it wasn't great because there was like a big dirt smudge mark on the top of the screen that was really distracting. It was like, you got to be kidding me. How can this stand now in movie theaters? How can they let this be up there for a big movie release like this? Like, come on. So that was disappointing. And when I saw it that first time, that's where I felt it dragged. Dragged even a strong word. I said, I guess, slow down a little bit in the middle aspect of it. Like you said, kind of when they're getting the team back and ready to go time travel. But when I saw it again at a normal hour and a better screen, it flowed a lot better for me. And I think it's, for the most part, pretty flawless. But there are some spaces where I understand where it could feel a little slow. So that would probably be my only criticism with it. I mean, it's just great. Like I said, when you combine Endgame with Infinity War, it's just one really great comic book. I shouldn't even just categorize as a comic book movie. I think it's a great movie story being told in general, and the perfect build up and culmination for an unprecedented, cinematic experience as far as being over 20 movies building up to this one movie. And the fact that it paid off on all of them pretty much is a feat in itself. And it's just amazing that they did it. So if I had to score it, I'm going to give it a perfect 5 out of 5. I could not ask for a better ending to this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and to these characters we've come to see for the past 10 years. They just did a phenomenal job of ending the stories. I cannot be happier about it. So, yeah, in short, I loved Endgame.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be 4.5 out of 5. I really loved it, but like I said, it was just a bit too long. They could have kept it under 3 hours. And of course, the wolf of Endgame, which is Friday, not getting her due at the end.
See, I never even would have thought of that. So you're looking out for the really, really small characters, Dane, and that's awesome.
No, it's these small characters, Tim, that make and these big movies what they are.
Every character is important, no matter how big or small. So.
Oh, and Iron Man and Captain America does. Never mind.
Okay. Maybe I'll ask you what you were going to say later, but
yeah. I was going to say something, but yeah, just never mind.
4.5. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5.
All right. So Game of Thrones, Avengers Endgame, big stuff, but really they pale in comparison to the next thing we're going to talk about here.
Of course.
The movie event of the year, the unexpected movie event, I should say.
Rise of Skywalker? No. Forgot about that.
Avengers Endgame? Yeah.
What is it, Tim?
Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here. Yes. I mean, it may sound like we're having fun and joking, but of course I am. Rise of Skywalker is my most anticipated movie of the year. But when it comes to something I wasn't expecting to get, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles doesn't get any higher than that as far as being excited for something I never thought would happen. And it's finally here. We got the animated movie. And I did something I've never done before. I got the digital release before the Blu-ray. There was no way I could wait 3 more weeks to see Batman versus the Turtles. It was like, no way. Not when it's sitting out there waiting to be watched. I cannot pass it up. So I will be double dipping. Once the 4K Blu-ray comes out, I'll be getting that as well. But right now I had to get the digital because I just could not wait to see it. And much like Endgame, probably not quite on that perfection level that was, but Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it did not disappoint for me. It was as awesome and exciting as I was hoping it would be. I mean, I said this when the comic was first announced and I reviewed the first issue, just how crazy cool it was to see Batman and the Turtles in a story together on these comic book pages and just seeing Batman with the Turtles. This is so awesome. And you just amplify that even more so when it's in an animated movie. And I got that feeling again. It's just, man, this is just crazy awesome. Batman, my favorite fictional character with one of my other favorite franchises in one movie. This is just mind-blowingly awesome. And I just had a big smile on my face throughout the course of the entire movie. It was just so fun to experience this. I just so thankful that Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon got together and made this movie happen. I mean, they did it. IDW and DC did it for the comics. Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers recognized how popular that was and decided it could make for a cool movie. And I think it's going to be the same effect. And they just knocked it out of the park as far as taking what worked so well in the comics and bringing it on the screen. I can't say it's perfect. I'll get to that in my one main criticism of it, but they just did a really great job adapting James Tynion's story that he established in that first comic series, almost to a point where this is what I love about adaptations, when they take classic moments that you read in the page and just bring them to life of the way you would expect it to and play out in similar ways. But, you know, when it's an animation and it's moving, it just adds more to it, which is awesome to see. And even taking lines of dialogue straight from the comic pages into the movie is always appreciated when they're adapting stories. And this movie had it. It begins pretty much the same way that the first issue of that comic story is about the Turtles. And this one is Barbara being saved by the Turtles from the Foot, in this research laboratory trying to steal this equipment, and she's saved by the Turtle, and she tells Batman about it. And that's how he begins his investigation into, you know, the Foot Clan, the Turtles being here, which comes to their meeting. And what really makes this movie so much fun and entertaining and awesome to see as a fan of both Batman and the Turtles is the action sequences. Man, they took it up a notch for this movie, and I felt they had to, because you're seeing a bunch of great martial artists go toe-to-toe in this movie, and man, it did not disappoint. Batman versus the Turtles, and that first moment where they meet, where they see the Batmobile, and the Turtles are just geeking out about it. Then Batman comes down. He has an awesome shadow silhouette, which makes him look, you know, terrifying to the criminals, but the Turtles are just in awe, kind of in shock to see him. And then they have that fight. And this is one of those moments where I'm really glad they pretty much took straight out from the comic book. The moves Batman does to take down the Turtles are the same. The dialogue, stuff that happens, like Michelangelo getting pushed into a pizza restaurant and tells everyone to run and hide because there's a giant bat on the loose is going to kill everybody, and everyone freaks out and runs because they're scared of Michelangelo, and he has a slice of pizza. Then Batman pulls him right back into the fight. And just seeing the moves Batman used to take down the Turtles was so cool. And like I said in the comic, it just makes perfect sense how this fight played out, because the Turtles are good martial artists, but, you know, the teenagers, they don't have the experience that Batman would have. And while they could put up a fight, their inexperience showed, and Batman took them down pretty easily. It was just so much fun to see the Turtles trying to cope with fighting Batman. And then afterwards, there was that great moment in the comic, which another one I was glad to be in the movie, where Donatello's researching Batman and what he's like in Gotham. There's not much on him, but then Michelangelo goes into that whole conspiracy theory drawing, like chalkboard, listing the pros and cons of why Batman is awesome and why he's not awesome. So all that stuff is just great. But one of the things that I was really excited for that we didn't get in the comic, and you heard me complain about this on other episodes when reviewing the Turtle comics, the Batman that he never fought Shredder. And that was something I was dying to see, because they're two of the best martial artists in the world, and they never got a chance to fight one-on-one evenly, because in that first story, Batman fights him, but he's in this big mech suit, which, you know, that's not how I want to see Batman fight the Shredder. Don't want to see him having any advantage. Just both, I want to fight both based on skill. That's it. Then we got that tease in the second story where it was shown off page, where Batman just hinted that they had a fight, so that was disappointing. But this movie added what I was been dying to see, and man, did it exceed my expectations. Batman versus Shredder in that first fight where they first encounter each other, man, that blew me away. Just like I said, two of the greatest martial artists on the planet going toe-to-toe, and that was one of the most evenly matched Batman fights I've seen on screen. The way Batman got a few moves in there, then Shredder got a few moves in there. None of them really got the upper hand on each other until the very end, when Shredder did that big energy attack where he gathered up his inner energy and pulled it into this one blow that knocked Batman out. But then you see Batman's gauntlets and Shredder's blades go clash with each other. I love how Batman's gauntlets, pretty much broke Shredder's blades, and then Shredder goes into Batman's, well, this is in the later fight when he knocks his utility belt, but just how they come blow to blow with each other, each using their strengths to take each other out, but it's not really working, that it's really evenly matched. And I love that aspect of the fight. The animation and the choreography was done brilliantly. I just could not be happier with the Batman and Shredder fight. I mean, when I knew that was going to happen in this movie, I had high expectations for it, and it more than delivered, both this one and in the final battle. So just great stuff. And the stuff that followed afterwards were the whole Arkham Asylum sequence that was in the comics, where the inmates get mutated and they transform into various animal creatures. That was a fun sequence as well, where we got the serpent Joker, Harley becomes a dog, Bane becomes, I think, like a cheetah or something, where in the comic he was an elephant. And my favorite being Scarecrow becoming an actual crow. I love that design of the Scarecrow costume being as a bird-like creature. Then him infecting Leonardo with his fear gas, which was a great moment. You got the Mr. Freeze polar bear. All that stuff was fun. I love the pairings that the Turtles and the Batman characters had in the movie as well, where each one kind of took a liking to each other, where Leonardo hits it off with Batman, Raphael hits it off with Damian, Donatello with Batgirl, and then the most unlikely one, Michelangelo and Alfred. Just like in the comic, they were together a lot, but I think even more so in the movie, it worked even better, especially at the end where Michelangelo realizes he was a handful for Alfred, and to say he's sorry, he offers him his skateboard as a present to Alfred. Just great stuff there. So awesome. And another thing that I loved that wasn't in the comics was the Batmobile Turtle Van chase sequence. That was really fun. And just seeing these two classic vehicles work together was both kind of out of their element, where Michelangelo is in the Batmobile begging to press all these buttons, and then Batman finally lets them when they're trapped. And you got Damian and Batgirl in the Turtle Van complaining about, it's kind of slow and beat up. But then the Turtle Show, it packs a punch and has some surprises in it itself. Just so much good stuff. Man, I loved it. And then the final confrontation with Shredder and Ra's al Ghul putting their plan into effect as far as mixing in the mutagen and Joker toxin to destroy Gotham. And Ra's al Ghul is using that so he could, do what he wants, destroy Gotham, build it back up. But Shredder is just using them because he wants to take control of the League of Assassins and the Foot Clan. And that ends up with a great battle between the Turtles taking on Ra's al Ghul at first, but then Michelangelo and Donatello go to have to be taken up in the sky when they try to destroy the machine that's going to release the mutagen Joker toxin. So it's just pretty much Raphael and Leonardo left to fight Rage, but then it's just Leo and Rage who fight. That was a really cool fight too. Seeing Leo take him on, but being outmatched, like I said, because of that experience factor, especially with Rage since he's hundreds of years old. But then Leo just getting him right in the groin like a teenager would. I just love how he says that. Well, I'm a teenager. I've been taught by a rat to do this. Then he just pushes he does this attack that uses all the pressure points in Ra's al Ghul's body to just pretty much paralyze him. And it was awesome to see you use that technique. And then, like I said, Batman and Shredder continue their fight. And that leads to Shredder falling into a vat of chemicals because the final battle takes place in Ace Chemicals. And kind of led you to believe that I could kind of see what's going to happen here, but they don't show that till the post-credit scene where after the Turtles leave Batman in the Batcave and the movie ends, and then we get the tease of the end credit scene of Shredder Joker coming out of the vat of chemicals, which is something which is going to be different from the second comics storyline. Is they decide to do another movie. It looks like they'll pick up on that instead of the Bane storyline that was in the comics. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. But a lot of great stuff. And I got to mention too, the end credit scene, not the end credit scene, but the end credit sequence, how awesome that was of its mixing up classic Batman and Ninja Turtle comic covers, where you got the classic Batman #1 with Batman and Robin swinging out in the sky. But instead of Robin, it's Leonardo. And then you got classic Turtle covers with Batman characters on there. One of them was Raphael and Casey Jones kind of against a brick wall looking at each other. Instead of Casey Jones, it's Nightwing. I love that mix up. It was just such a great homage to these classic comic stories that we've gotten over the years. So much good stuff. A lot of cool Easter eggs and references throughout, even some from the video games that, might not necessarily be too recognizable, but I caught them, like I think it was Michelangelo picking up a Foot Clan soldier and throwing him right into the screen like you would in the Turtles in Time video game. That attack was kind of one of the game's trademarks, which was cool to see. References to the 80s theme song, just so much great stuff. Man, it was such a good time. Seeing the Turtles out in Gotham, Michelangelo geeking out how crazy Gotham is and commenting like, what city has blimps? Just so much fun stuff seeing these two worlds collide, and I cannot be happier with it. So I loved it, but I did say I had one major complaint about it, and that is one of the big key plot elements of the comic that I love so much was left out of the movie, and that is that the Turtles were not from another dimension or universe. Them and Batman actually exist in the same universe. They're just in New York, and Batman's just in Gotham, and they've never come across each other. Batman said he's heard of the Foot Clan, but thought they were just a myth, and the Turtles just never made themselves known to Batman. So, which is fine. It works well for this movie being told here. But the one element that I loved so much from the comics that wasn't in this movie is that because of the Turtles being out of their universe and in Batman's universe, the mutagen doesn't exist in this universe. And because of that, they're slowly dying in Batman's universe. And that's what really motivates Batman to help the Turtles. And we get that great moment, my favorite moment of the Batman Turtles crossover in all the versions that we've gotten. My favorite moment is when Batman takes Raphael to Crime Alley and tells him what happened to him as a little boy and why he's Batman because of the loss of his parents and how he doesn't want to see another family be lost. And that's what really motivates him to help the Turtles. And it was just such a great, plot point and thematic moment for both Raphael and Batman that I love so much that put that crossover over the top to be in a truly great story. And I really wish this movie had that. There was a moment that tried to have that effect where Batman tells the Turtles they're not going to go with them for the final battle because they kind of messed things up in Arkham Asylum. And then Raphael gives Batman that pep talk about we're family. We learn from our mistakes. We just got to work together. That kind of convinces Batman, okay, to let them come along, give him another shot. Like I said, it works fine, but it doesn't have quite that emotional punch and impact like the comic story had, with Batman really driving home the point of why, he wants to help the Turtles and how it harkens back to the promise he made to his parents' grave, saying he's never going to let what happened to him happen to anyone else, no matter what the family is. So I wish that element was still in the movie because I just loved it so much in the comic. But if I wasn't a deal breaker. If you just watch the movie going in without reading the comic, I don't think that would really matter too much. But just someone for me who really loved that aspect from the comic, I was disappointed that it wasn't in the final film. So I kind of rambled on here about it. You could tell I was super excited about seeing this movie. I know I'm going to be watching it multiple times and hope we get more movies, whether they're based on the comic storylines or not. Just more Batman TMNT adventures in animated form would be very welcomed by me. So I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5, only because it didn't have that element that I love so much from the comic that I just talked about. So other than that, I could not be happier with this movie. So good.
Okay, so I will be watching it then when it is rentable.
That's right. Movies, once they come out digitally, are only available to buy, right? You can't rent them. That stinks.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's worth the $20, Tim.
Oh, I'm going to say it is. But I don't think you'll be disappointed with it, Dane. Especially if you're just going to rent it, I think you'll have a fun way to spend an hour and 26 minutes.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, so good. I will say, too, kind of surprised how violent it was as well, because with the Turtles and Nickelodeon being involved, I'm not sure if they'd go that full-blown PG-13 type of violence that we get in the other DC animated movies, but no, it was pretty bloody. You got Shredder and the Foot Soldiers murdering Arkham guards, beheadings being done, and so probably the most violent movie you're going to see the Turtles in, and even the live-action stuff. So it was kind of cool to see the Turtles in a more, mature story setting as well than we're used to as far as animation goes. Because in comics we get that a lot, but we haven't seen this before in animation. So even if we don't beyond Batman Turtles crossover, hopefully Nickelodeon would see that the Turtles can work in that element too and get their own standalone, like more mature animated movies. That would be awesome. So a lot can happen from this awesome crossover. And going back from the comics, I'm just so glad it was successful. I remember being announced thinking it was so crazy that this is happening, but yet it kind of blew up into this big thing that's working on so many levels. So I'm glad that they recognize it, decided to make it into an animated movie, and hopefully get more of those as well, because it's going to be worth it. I could not be happier. So definitely worth the wait. And yeah, can't recommend it enough for anyone who was maybe on the fence about it or was waiting for it to come on Blu-ray or rent like you, Dane. Just definitely check it out once it is available. You're going to have a great time with it.
Yeah, and is the animation style in the style of the comics?
No, it's pretty different.
Oh.
Especially with Batman, because he's in, his kind of more classic, just blue cape and cowl and gloves instead of the black.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah, the Turtles, they're not quite like their art style in the comics, but they're basic turtle designs. They didn't go too crazy like some new turtle designs can do. So just the basic, which is what I like. So.
I see.
So yeah, that's going to do it for our feature topic. All the big movies and TV shows that we watched since our last episode came out and how they lived up to our expectations. And I say for the most part, I think they have, especially on, the movie front with Endgame and TMNT. Game of Thrones, we'll have to see how it all wraps up to give our final grade and rating about the season and to see how that story's end. But we'll definitely keep you posted. But definitely a lot of cool stuff that's happened to check out since our last episode. So definitely fun to talk about. And with that, we can go on to our news and discussion topics, where we got some potentially big news that happened just a few days ago, as Variety reported that we have our new Batman potentially. And that is Robert Pattinson. It's being reported that he is the one Matt Reeves has chosen to play Batman. And I should throw the caveat out here that nothing officially announced by Warner Brothers, and even in Variety, it's saying it's not a done deal yet, but he is the front runner. And there have been other reports from Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, I believe, saying that it's not just Pattinson, that Nicholas Hoult is still up there. He's best known for playing Beast in the new X-Men movies, and more recently Tolkien, which I want to see that movie, but it's only like playing at 2 showtimes in the morning and afternoon, which is kind of hard to get to. But I'll probably check that out once it comes out on digital. But
it's not getting good reviews.
Really, I've read that it has, at least from the ones I've seen.
I think it's under 50%.
Oh, really?
Rotten Tomatoes, yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing. But I've heard enough good things about it from other sources that I trust, saying that it's worth to watch. So I'll definitely check it out eventually.
What's worth it to watch?
Just how the story, it's as far as showing, this side of Tolkien as far as this point in his life, is the themes that he put into Lord of the Rings, and just the relationship he had with his friends, and I think his girlfriend in the movie. So I don't know. I haven't read every single review, but that's the gist I got out of it from the very few I read.
It's 51%.
I guess half and half.
Not that bad. So you're either going to love it or you're not going to love it.
Yeah, or at least maybe think it's kind of forgettable, or if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll appreciate it, which I'm hoping will be the case for me.
Did I see this right? Where because I've only seen the trailer on the ads on Twitter. Is there a dragon in it?
They show, I think, hints of what he's going to establish in the books while he's at war, I think. Because that did influence a lot of the Mordor and the evil side of Lord of the Rings. So
World War One.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So that's
Lord of the Rings came out in the 30s, right?
Yeah, I think the first Hobbit came out early 30s, if I remember right. But I think you're going to see kind of a lot of stuff in his head that makes him think about the stuff that will be in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I see.
So that's what has me excited about it too, just seeing the stuff where he got his inspiration to come up with these different themes and characters for Lord of the Rings, which I hope the movie does a good job of showing. So,
so like a tank is a giant elephant.
Maybe. I don't know if it's going to go that far, but certain things like that maybe will be like the dragons or the ring wraiths, goblins and stuff like that. So
I see.
But who knows? He can be Tolkien and Batman. But right now, I'm really expecting to be Robert Pattinson. It's very rare when a big trade site like Variety or Hollywood Reporter comes out with casting and it doesn't happen. It would have to be something where negotiations fail or break apart or they don't agree on something. But as of right now, I'm fully expecting Robert Pattinson to be our new Batman. And I sent out this tweet with a gif of Jiminy Cricket saying, "Here we go again," and he gives an eye roll for the reaction that this is getting. I mean, haven't we learned our lesson by now, Batman fans, especially with Batman movies? Michael Keaton, Heath Ledger, Anne Hathaway, Ben Affleck, the list goes on and on about casting choices that fans have been outraged about, then they end up being great performances for the most part. And
people don't like it?
No, they're again, that bad word again, petitions. They're the petition again,
Oh,
starting for Warner Brothers to not cast or recast the role of Batman instead of Robert Pattinson. So yeah, that tells you all need to know about the reaction that this is getting. And that aspect of it annoys me to no end. I already said that about the petitions at the beginning of the episode, but so I won't dive too much into that because, like I said, it's going to be expected now with any casting for a Batman movie. It's just all part of the routine. It seems to be the case. Nobody learns their lessons from the other movies, so just got to expect it.
But you know what or I guess what I wonder is like, I mean, there's no way HBO is going to listen and recut season 8 of
exactly
of Game of Thrones, right? Or they're not going to. Warner Brothers isn't going to not talk to Robert Pattinson, right?
Yeah, or Disney's going to let those people remake The Last Jedi.
yeah, right. So, like, what's going to happen with that petition after, like, people stop caring about it? Is it just going to, like...
Going to blow away in the dust. Exactly. I think a lot of it now, too, people are just doing it to get attention, and all these sites report it, and they get the attention that they want, and that's just... stupid. Yeah. Enough about petitions.
I mean, I guess there's a time for petitions, and there's examples of how petitions can be misused.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So.
Yeah, I mean, petitions shouldn't be used for stuff like this. That's for darn sure. There's bigger problems in the world to use petitions
right.
for. But, as far as what I feel about the casting, I mean, I really don't have too much to say on it because, like other Batman roles, I just gotta wait to see. I'm just glad that Matt Reeves has found someone he feels is going to be the next Batman and Bruce Wayne. I haven't seen Robert Pattinson in anything. Obviously, I've never seen the Twilight movies, and that's the thing that everybody's freaking out about. While he can't be a good Batman, but I've read since like better part of this decade, he's made quite a few good, smaller budgeted movies where he's given great performances, and everyone's saying, he's a really good, capable actor who can pull off playing Batman and Bruce Wayne. And all I really needed is Matt Reeves, is whoever he chooses, I'd be good with. But hearing this more about how Robert Pattinson has delivered some good performance recently just adds to my confidence in that he'll be a solid choice for Batman. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Ever since Heath Ledger in 2008, I'll never criticize or complain about a casting choice I felt didn't fit ever again until I see the actual movie. Because I felt like a darn fool thinking that Heath Ledger was a bad casting choice back then. And boy, was I wrong. And like I said, I'll never make that mistake again. And I won't be doing that with Robert Pattinson either. He wasn't my first choice or name that came to mind when I think of someone who could have been Batman. And I've said this before too, I don't really play the fan casting game anymore. Even when we knew Ben Affleck was out, I didn't get a list of names of actors who I felt should be the next Batman. I was just on a wait and see approach about who Matt Reeves wanted. And if he wants Robert Pattinson, then I'm going to be good with it. So, I just know Batman's in capable hands with Matt Reeves at the helm and as the director. So whatever he chooses to see fit, I'll be on board with and make my decision and full opinion once I see the movie. So right now I'm fine with it. I'm just excited and anxious to start seeing more about a new live action Batman movie. I mean, by the time this comes out, it's going to be the first one in almost 10 years, a solo standalone Batman movie that we're going to get. And part of the fun is getting the build up to, casting, filming, trailers, and all that stuff. Even though it is kind of funny that we're going through another Batman casting cycle feels like we just came off of Ben Affleck, so it seems a little too fast. But hey, here we are, and hopefully this will be one that's successful, and Robert Pattinson does a good job, and he'll be Batman for a long time. So right now, I'm just totally fine with it. Just glad and actually kind of surprised we got this news already, because I wasn't expecting it when it came out this past Thursday, but it was a nice surprise to find out of who our new Batman is going to be. So I don't know, that's just how I feel about it right now. But I'm curious to see what you think about it right now, Dane. So how are you feeling if Robert Pattinson is indeed our new Batman?
I don't know. Judging from everything that you say, Tim, it sounds like I should wait and see and not prejudge somebody.
What a concept that is, right?
What a concept. No, but like you, I haven't seen him in anything, so I'm going with it.
Yeah. I know it's weird because everyone has all these opinion pieces on it, but I really don't have much to say because, like I said, we just went through this with Ben Affleck, and pretty much what applies to what I said there, even though I did see Ben Affleck in other movies, unlike I haven't seen anything in Robert Pattinson is, you just got to wait and see no matter who the casting choices is. And as I said before, you think people would learn their lessons now, but they haven't, and we're just going to keep going through this over and over and over again. But like I said, hopefully this one, it won't be a while, or I should say it won't be as quick as the new turnaround is getting a new Batman. And hopefully if he does get the role, he'll last with it and be good for a long time.
Yep. Wait and see.
That is the name of the game. Yes. There have been reports too about, I'm not sure how confirmed it is. I think it was a Hollywood Reporter, but it wasn't like a main news article that they usually write that saying Penguin and Catwoman are amongst several villains to be used in the film. I think there was mentioned there's going to be more, like maybe around 6 or 7, but they might be at the forefront. And now I've seen some freak out. Oh, it's just going to be Batman Returns all over again. Like, what's the point of the movie? It's like, Penguin and Catwoman can be used for many variety of stories than what they were used in for Batman Returns. And that's not really the best example of a great Penguin and Catwoman story anyway. So even if they are the two main villains again, it'll be something totally different. And I would expect a lot better than what we got and how they were used in Batman Returns. So no need to freak out about that aspect as well, as far as Penguin and Catwoman being used again. So just got to wait and see on this movie. I mean, people are just freaking out about everything that gets revealed for it before we actually get, our look and official look and synopsis of the film. So like you said, Dane, just wait and see. But something we don't have to wait and see anymore, because we do get a tease and first look at, is the upcoming Batwoman TV show, which is coming later this fall. We got our first full trailer released earlier this week, or actually it was the same day the news came out about Robert Pattinson potentially being cast as Batman. So I'm really anxious to hear what you think of this trailer, Dane, you being the resident Batwoman fan and knowing more of the history in her comic stories. So I'm curious to see what you think of the trailer, and what you've seen in the trailer. Does it remind you and give you a good feeling for some of those early good Batwoman stories that you love so much?
No.
Oh, okay. That was easy.
Yeah, didn't really impress me. I just thought it was just another CW show. But what I do want to talk about is a couple of pictures I saw.
Okay.
The first one is of Kate in the bat suit without the red wig on.
Yeah, that took me by
doesn't
surprise.
look good.
I was going to
That doesn't
ask
look
you,
good.
was that like one of her first costumes in the comic stories as well, or was she always had the red wig and the red logo and all that?
Well, she had red hair, right? And then the mask, just like a pullover mask, right?
Okay.
That was the original design of Batwoman before, Elegy and J.H. Williams, right?
Okay.
So I think that's what they were going for, but didn't look good. And then the second picture is of her with the red hair. And I don't know if it's just the way it's lit or if it's just the angle of the picture, but it looked pink to me.
Yeah, it might have been the way it was lit in that photo.
Yeah, because it looked like there was a light behind her, and I guess the red looked pink. So, but yeah, I'm like Robert Pattinson. I'm just gonna wait and see how it is.
Yeah, but it won't be too long to see because I don't think I have a official premiere date yet. Maybe I'm wrong, but you of course know it's going to be in the fall. But yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, it looks good. It seems like a typical CW show, like you said. Certain things took me by surprise, like her just taking the Batman costume and making it her own first. It was cool to see the Batman costume, what that looks like in the Arrow universe, which was pretty cool. And, her going down there the first time with Luke Fox. But I did like seeing, they're establishing stuff. We know about the character, her relationship with her father was in there already. And even though I haven't read that story, I should, though. Now that I got the DC Universe app, I should probably finally read Elegy. But the Alice character is in there. Looks like she's going to be the, at least, main bad guy for the first few episodes. So, looks to be building off of what we saw of the character in the Arrow and Flash Supergirl crossover last fall. So, it's definitely still going to check it out when it comes on. So, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But if I were to guess, like most of the CW shows, expect a really good to great first and second season, and then start watching it dip a little bit once we get to the third and fourth, and then climb back up again for its fifth season. Because that's been the trajectory for Arrow and Flash. They've almost followed each other evenly on that aspect. First two seasons, great. Third and fourth, not so much. And then the fifth one, they come back strong.
It's ending this year, right?
Arrow's ending next year, only
next
10 episodes. So it'll be in by probably next Christmas when they go on their usual winter break. That'll probably be when Arrow ends. I'll be curious to see how it ends, because this season wasn't the best. It started off great when he was in prison, and seeing Oliver in prison life was pretty cool. But then it started becoming to, family soap opera dynamic stuff. This person's related to this person. This is my father or my daughter. You're my brother, and all that stuff. Just too many dumb family reveals, I should say. But it ended with Oliver going off with the Monitor, who we saw in the crossover, getting ready for Crisis on Infinite Earths. So depending on what happens to Oliver and how Arrow ends, is probably going to revolve around the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover coming next year. So we shall see how his story ends. But Flash ended on its season was really good. I enjoyed. And a big part of that was Reverse Flash was back as one of the main bad guys. And it was the one that was the Harrison Wells version of Reverse Flash, which is the best version, how he was in season 1. And he just proves how he's the best villain that show is ever going to have. How he outthinks Team Flash and has things set in motion to get what he wants. It's just brilliantly done. So, and Tom Cavanaugh gets a great performance whenever he's playing Reverse Flash. So that was great. And hopefully it continues on a good fifth season into a good sixth season, because Arrow couldn't do that with its great fifth season, and then it fell kind of back to old habits in its sixth season. So hopefully that won't be the same for Flash.
Didn't Oliver run for governor or something?
He was the mayor for season 5 and 6.
How was that?
In 5 it was really good. 6 had its ups and downs.
I see.
So yeah, we'll see where things go with Flash. But those are, and Supergirl, I'm 2 episodes behind, but the season finale for that is tomorrow. But I probably won't be watching that because of the Game of Thrones finale. So I'll have to do some catch up on Supergirl. That's actually been really good too. I should say that bucks the trend of disappointing fourth seasons for these CW shows, because this one's actually been really good, especially with Lex Luthor being brought in. John Cryer as Lex has been really, really good. And he's up there as one of the better live action Lex Luthor performances, I should say. There hasn't been too many, but him and Michael Rosenbaum are the best. And he's playing the full blown Lex Luthor for, I should say, haven't seen the Lois and Clark version of Lex Luthor. I just, from what I've seen or remember of that show, the little bits and pieces, it didn't seem like the more traditional Lex. So I'm already going to say John Cryer is probably the best fully realized version of the Lex Luthor we know from the comics being brought on the screen as far as TV goes. So he's been doing a great job of that. I'm excited to see how that season ends with Lex and Supergirl in their final showdown. So that'll be tomorrow, but more than likely it'll be a few days for me after I see it. But I don't think these last few episodes, unless it takes a really downturn, will affect the overall enjoyment I have had with Supergirl season 4. So We'll see, but that's another wrap on the CWDC shows. I mean, they seem to be still going strong, even though Arrow's ending next year. We're not going to have a shortage of them because it seems like Batwoman's just going to take Arrow's place when that ends. So the universe will still be going, but I expect it to be very different once Crisis on Infinite Earths ends, because a lot of stuff's being teased for that. Even Flash in their finales teasing how things are going to change in that Crisis crossover next year. So it's going to be probably the end of an era for the CW shows, but yet still continue. So we'll just have to wait to find out next December. And the last bit of news we've had is that the first full trailer for the next DC animated movie, Batman Hush, came out. And this is looking really good. It's not quite in the full-blown Jim Lee art style because it is set in the DC animated movie universe continuity. But I feel it's a nice blend of both art styles. Batman looks a little different. The designs, like I said, a nice mesh between Jim Lee's art style and the art style they established for these movies. And it just has a nice darker, but yet I feel more thematic quality and tone to it. And it's showing off a lot of the great moments we've seen in the Hush comic, like Batman and Superman, with him being controlled by Poison Ivy, a lot of Batman and Catwoman stuff, Batman taking on the Joker, Hush, all this classic stuff we're seeing from the comics looks to be in the movie, and it's looking really good. So not quite sure when that comes out. I don't think they have a release date yet, unless I'm just forgetting, but it's more likely going to be later this summer. So probably around July, I would imagine, but it's looking really good. And the DC animated movies are on a good run so far with Justice League versus the Fatal Five, Batman versus TMNT, and now with Hush. Looks like we could be in a good string of animated movies, which is awesome. So be on the lookout for Batman Hush later the year. We'll, of course, be reviewing it and talking about it once it comes out. Not sure I'm going to double dip for this one, though. I might just wait for the 4K Blu-ray, but should be worth it once it comes out because it's looking really good. And with that, that's going to do it for our news and discussion topics. And we can just go ahead and move into our comic book reviews. And for this episode, since we missed our last one, there's been a few comics out. So I'm just going to be doing a quick recap of Batman and Detective Comics and what's happened in the issues since our last episode, but then giving a full review of Batman TMNT number 3, issue 1. Yes, what could be better than having both a TMNT Batman movie and a new Batman and TMNT comic? I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this, honestly. Never
like it was planned. So.
I know. What are the chances both coming out within weeks of each other? So awesome. But as always, these reviews are going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't read any of them yet, you might want to come back, then read them, and then hear what I have to say and my review. So, and our rating scale for this episode is going to be, what should it be?
Eventually are endings for Game of Thrones that Tim and Dane come up with that won't happen.
Sounds perfect. Sounds good. All right, so Batman and Detective Comics, like I said, I'll do a quick recap of those ones. For Detective Comics, issues 1001 and 2, I believe. Or I should say Detective Comics issues 1002 and 3. It's continuing the new Arkham Knight story. Issue 1002 deals with Batman taking on the Arkham Knight and his forces out of the zoo where he was investigating the death of those bats. So they have a battle there. The police get involved. Batman's able to get out of it, but then over the course of the issue, Damian gets kidnapped by the Arkham Knight, and that issue ends with the Arkham Knight taking the helmet off, revealing who is behind the mask, saving it for the next issue, which gives us into, or I should say, leads us into issue 1003, where we find out who the Arkham Knight is, and it's actually a woman, but she doesn't say who she is or her name just yet. We just know it's not Jason Todd like how it was in the Arkham Knight video game, which we all knew, but at the same time, glad they didn't take forever to drag out the mystery who is the Arkham Knight, lead you one way and then become a red herring and you find out it's someone else. So I'm glad they got the reveal out of the way. And the Arkham Knight, she's trying to convert Damian to join her side, knowing that he just mixed up and caught up in Batman's darkness and his war. And she's trying to save him. She even has an outfit ready for Damian once he joins her side, like his own Robin Knight outfit. And she had them captured in Arkham Asylum because you see several Arkham inmates in there, like Mad Hatter, Mr. Freeze. and but Damien's not having it. He's going to try to escape, but she actually lets him go, and because she knows, it's kind of like a peace offering type thing. Like, I'm showing you that this is the right side, and when the time comes when we're do battle with Batman, hopefully you'll choose the right side, which is mine, the light side, in her view, instead of Batman's darkness. And so she lets him go, and then Batman meets up with Damien. He finds them, and they're trying to figure out who she is. Damien tries to draw a sketch of what he remembers of what she looks like, and the Bat computer really can't trace who she is. So him and Batman go down to investigate where they're at, use the Batboat to go into the underwater, I guess, underground entrance to Arkham, and that's where they see Jeremiah Arkham, and he reveals that the Arkham Knight is his daughter. So she is definitely living up to the name Arkham Knight. Her last name is Arkham. So I will say the story hasn't grabbed me like I was hoping it would. I was curious to see who the Arkham Knight was, and now that we know, I'm into it. I'm glad it's not someone familiar or some big surprise. It is establishing a new character and is someone that is different, like I said, from the video game version of Arkham Knight, and is living up to that name more so than I think Jason Todd did in the video game. Her actually being related to Jeremiah Arkham and Arkham Asylum playing a big role in the story and the goal she's trying to accomplish there. So it's been good, but nothing great so far. So I'll give, I guess, these last few issues of Detective Comics 3.5 out of 5 Game of Thrones endings that Dane and Tim predicted, but are going to be wrong. And then Batman issues 70 and 71. The Nightmare storyline is finally over with. It dragged on way too long, and it was really losing steam for me. And so 70 is a story that shows Batman finally coming out of it. And it's basically just him making his way through the inmates of Arkham, just punching them, saying how he's going to take Bane down. He goes through a lot of the big ones you would expect, the classic Batman villains, Two-Face, Scarecrow, and kind of harkening back to some of the stuff he encountered while he was, dreaming under, Scarecrow's influence. So it was pretty cool to see, but again, nothing really mind-blowing or essential I felt was in the story, except seeing Batman escape and just really take his frustrations out on the inmates of Gotham, telling him that he's coming for Bane and how he's going to break him. So in the last page of that is Batman finally making it out of Arkham. And then the next issue, number 71, this one was a little bit strange and, not told in the most linear sense as far as the story and the events that are happening to Batman here, where we starts off with Batman just sitting in the Batcave, hand on his head, just tired and exhausted, and the Batcave computers are flashing intruder. Then it goes back to an earlier sequence where Batman tries to meet up with Jim Gordon, and Gordon's still pretty upset with him after Batman punching him and telling him to get off his roof. But Batman shines the bat signal red, which I assume is to get his father's attention, knowing how red's kind of more in his color scheme in his bat suit. But then Batman also gathers up, or Batgirl tries to gather up, I should say, most of the Bat family to gather them up to help Batman because he needs them. She calls Damien, she calls Kate, she calls Tim, she calls Cassandra, she calls Huntress, she calls Duke. And of course, the one where I had to roll my eyes, tries calling Dick, but he says, that's not who I am right now. And then when Batman asks about everyone here, she goes, most of them, but Jason Todd's typical Jason's not coming. And she goes, and Dick is Rick now, going to that whole Rick Grayson thing, which I haven't read, but just the whole premise of that, wasn't really a big fan. So Batman gets all those, or Batgirl gets all those members of the Bat family together, meets up with Batman. They're going to go into Arkham to show that the inmates have escaped. Bane has left them out after Batman took them down as he was escaping Arkham. But once they get there, Arkham's just a normal place. There's doctors roaming freely around. Batman just breaks in saying, Bane, you can't hide anymore. I've seen you, how you really are. Like, we're here to watch. He goes, we're here to watch you fall. But then the doctor just goes like, excuse me? And so it just turns out that we don't know what's going on in Batman's head right here, because the Bat family members are starting questioning everything he's telling them. Batgirl tells him, she talked with Alfred, because it's going back and forth between this sequence and the Wayne Manor, where Bruce goes up to the cave after the intruder alarm went off. How Bane and his father are just sitting. Bane and Batman's father, Thomas Wayne, are sitting in their dining room about to have dinner. Alfred is serving them, almost like they're in control of the manor. And Alfred is just, calling Bane his master, pretending, he's in charge, listening to him rather than Bruce. Bruce is freaking out, and he tries to fight Bane, but it's almost seems like this is all in Batman's head. It doesn't make it totally clear, but at the end we see Alfred help Batman up, saying, everything he's been through, how exhausted and tired he is. He even says, "You have lost this time." But it's just hard to make out, if Batman's still hallucinating from that scarecrow toxin that made him have those nightmares, because Bane and Thomas Wayne aren't there anymore once Alfred begins to pick him up. Batgirl tells Batman that, he says he's never seen Thomas Wayne and seen Batman get hurt. All the stuff that Batman thinks going on, no one else has seen. So it all comes to a front when Tim offers to help, and knows how badly Batman's been affected by the loss of Catwoman, as far as, her leaving him. And Batman just turns around and tells Tim, "You don't know a thing," and just punches him right in the face, almost like that Batman slapping Robin meme that we see all the time, but not quite. And Alfred just says on the other page, saying, "Master Bruce, why can't you see Bane has broken you?" So Batman's not in a good state right here. This story wasn't the easiest to put together and follow, I should say. I guess that's what Tom King's going for, to make it all confusing to know what's going on in Batman's head. Maybe I'm just dumb and not following it as well as I have other issues or others, but it just didn't have the best flow to me in the story that's being told here. So I don't know. I'm just really kind of anxious for the story to, I don't want to say wrap up, but I guess to get the ball rolling a little further as far as how things are going to conclude with this battle with Bane, with Thomas Wayne being involved, and Batman getting back to his old self, where he's mentally stable again and able to not either be thinking things that aren't there, or just be overly, aggressive, how he's treating characters like Gordon and Tim in here. So just anxious to see things come to a head as far as Batman's battle with Bane here, because we know it's going to go to 100 issues. That's Tom King's plan for this whole arc he started back in issue 1. So we got a bit of a ways to go, but here's hoping on the Bane front, if things start coming to head a little quickly, because even though we're out of the Nightmare storyline, I still feel in these couple of issues, it's still dragging its feet a bit. It just, it's a little filler here to get to the next big phase of Tom King's stories. So we'll see. Still enjoyable though. So I'll go ahead and give it 3 out of 5 Game of Thrones endings that Tim and Dane will predict, but eventually will be wrong.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I've been a little disappointed recently with the Batman run so far. So I really hope it gets going.
Yeah. And
Detective Comics, like I said, it's still early on in the storyline. Hopefully that picks up as well, but it just hasn't blown me away yet either. But thankfully, I can say that is not the case with Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3. And it's time for more Turtle and Batman geek out and me gushing about it. If you didn't get enough with my movie review, you got more coming in this issue, because just when you thought this crossover couldn't get more crazy and more awesome, this issue proved me wrong. It starts off with the skies, red clouds, lightning coming down. You see this electronic blimp, so to speak, like more a heavy tech blimp. And there's voiceovers saying, one of the inmates escaped Krang. And Krang saying, it's all right, we can let him go. He said there's only one place that this character who we don't know yet could go. Something, not too much to worry about. But then we see Batman seeing the sky all red with lightning, knowing something's wrong. And he's talking to someone who we assume is Alfred, just saying, I've had this dream. I'm not sure what it is. It's about this young man with dark hair, and I don't know what it means. But, I can't worry about it right now. I got to go to this break-in in the museum. And we see that Batman has a different suit It's not quite what we're used to. So it makes you think something is up here. And as we get to this museum where this is being taken hostage, we see who exactly it is. And it's the Smile Clan, not the Foot Clan, the Smile Clan. And we see Harley first. But then we start to get to see that things are not quite what they seem, as Batman and Turtle characters are kind of being combined into one. As in the first story that I talked about and in the movie, the Arkham inmates took the mutagen and they became these, different versions of themselves as animals. But in this story, it's not quite that. It's classic Turtles characters and classic Batman villains being merged into one. You got Rocksteady as Clayface, Bebop as Killer Croc. So it just makes you think, what's going on here? And then the big one comes where we see, we got that Shredder Joker tease in the movie and credit sequence, but Joker Shredder is actually in this story already, but it's a little different. It's, looks like it's a Rokusaki, the Shredder, as just a normal human, not with white makeup or anything, but instead of his metal faceplate that he has as a Shredder mask, he has that, but it has the Joker smile on there. And that's why they're the Smile Gang, or the Smile Clan, not the Foot Clan, because it's kind of Joker and Shredder merged into one. And his suit is all purple, but yet it's still that ninja samurai Shredder look, just without the helmet. He has the faceplate with the smile, but not the helmet. So we see Batman coming to take them down, but he gets help from the Bat family. But it's the Bat family as the Ninja Turtles. And this is just awesome. You got the Ninja Turtles taking a role as each of the four main Robins. And first, I got to give a shout out to the best Turtles podcast out there, the Turtle Power podcast. When they were talking about the first Batman crossover comic, part of the discussion was about which four Robins would the Turtles actually be. And one of the hosts, Darby, nailed it, because James Tynion might have listened to that episode, because each of the characters that Darby mentioned on that podcast episode, those Turtles were the version of the Robins, and it was just pitch perfect. I had to give him props for that, because I read this issue, I thought, oh man, I remember that episode I listened to, the Turtle Power podcast, and I felt that analyzation of which turtle or which Robins the turtle would be was perfect, and it was played out in this comic issue, and it was awesome to read, because Raph comes out as the Red Hood Jason Todd outfit, where he has the Red Hood mask and the red hood over him, but it's Raph as you see him with the size and the red armband. So it just, and of course Raph and Jason Todd, their personalities match up. And of course Raph would be the more hothead version of the Robin, Jason Todd. Then you got Donatello as Tim Drake, because Tim is arguably, or I shouldn't say arguably, he is the smartest Robins and is one of the smartest characters in the DC universe, and Donatello's the smartest turtle, so of course he's going to be Tim Drake. And then Michelangelo is Damien. This is the one where personalities don't quite match up the same, but if Damien's the youngest Robin, Michelangelo is usually regarded as the youngest turtle, so it makes sense for that standpoint. If you had to pick a Robin for Michelangelo, I think Damien would be the most obvious one. And then finally, Leonardo, the leader of the Turtles, is Nightwing, or Dick Grayson, the first Robin. And man, I just love seeing that. It just felt really perfect. This not culmination, but this mashup of these classic characters from the DC side, the Robins, being mixed up with the Turtles, and just making you realize how similar they can be, and how it makes total sense that they are embodying the personality traits of these four Robins. It just was so cool to read in this issue, and seeing them take out the different villains being mashed up between Batman and Turtle characters too. So just a lot of fun geek out stuff there. I loved it. And then Batman comes face with the Shredder Joker, but as Batman's fighting him, he sees like the Shredder Joker actually become just the normal Joker. The clown face Joker is like, his face is split, and Batman sees that, and he actually says, Joker? Like, I don't understand. And that takes Batman out of the fight for a little bit, because it catches him off guard. That allows Joker to escape, or Shredder Joker, I should say, to escape when Harley causes an explosion to distract him, and the Turtles and Batman make it out and head back to the Batcave. But it's actually the sewers. And this is where things get really interesting, because it's revealed that Batman was taken in by Splinter just as the Turtles were once his parents were killed. So once his parents because Splinter comes in and he's dressed in as Alfred. So the person we thought he was talking to in the beginning, who I thought was Alfred, it was actually Splinter, and how he was raised with the Turtles to be, Splinter's son and be trained in martial arts just like the Turtles were. So he is pretty much the fifth Turtle here. It is just crazy. The only thing I really didn't quite get, and I don't know, was a little far-fetched as far as the reasonings to Splinter being Alfred. He goes, since Splinter tells him, and he calls him my son, just like he does the Turtles. He says, since your parents were killed in the alley, I have endeavored to make this a true home. He says, I even took on the role of a servant to comfort you and showed you had a home here with me. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird that he decided to become a servant and butler to make Bruce feel at home. I'm not sure that being a butler would get that effect. I mean, just being a fatherly figure like he was with the Turtles would be enough for him to feel like home. So that felt a little bit of a stretch just to make him to be Alfred in the story. But regardless, I do like the idea of Batman kind of being raised with the Turtles and being trained along with them under Splinter. I think that's a cool little wrinkle to throw in this story. So obviously, that worlds and their universes are colliding here. They're being meshed together. But how exactly? That's the question. And then the issue ends with a big shocker that I didn't see coming, but I loved. The person that escaped from Krang's clutches, as was alluded to in the beginning of the issue, it's revealed that is the very first incarnation of the Turtles. The Raphael from the original Mirage comics, the black and white Turtles, and he's drawn that same design. He's not colored, he's in black and white, and he's talking with Batman and the Turtles in this mashed up universe. And he says, it's up to us to set things right. And I promise it's only going to get bigger and weirder from here. And that's where we get the last page of why the universes are kind of mashed together and messed up, because we all know Krang has his full-blown robotic bodysuits that he used in the comics, the TV show. So he has one in this story, except it's the Anti-Monitor, the villain from Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that blew my mind. I just cannot wait to see how things do get bigger and weirder, like Raphael from the original Turtles comic says in the storyline. Now I'm thinking, oh man, are we going to get various Turtle incarnations in the story, like the animated series, the movies? I just can't wait to see it all unfold, because this is just blowing my mind and tripping me out with all these characters mashing up as one and universes colliding. It was just so cool. So, like I said, couldn't expect this crossover to get any better and more crazier, but this issue proved me wrong. It's just, man, I just can't wait. I mean, it's going full blown. It's going for broke in this episode, or I should say this comic series, because James Tynion has said that this will be the final one of the Batman Turtles crossover, at least that he works on. So he wants to end it with a bang. And it looks like he's doing that with this massive multiverse story that he's telling, because the issue was called, I love the title of it too, instead of Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's Crisis in a Half Shell. And it's going to be the Batman and Turtles crisis, and I can't wait to see it unfold. So this Batman and TMNT number 3 is off to a great start. A lot of geek out moments and fanboy I guess I just wouldn't say wish fulfillment, because I never thought about all this stuff happening, but once you see it, it makes total sense. And it's just great for a fan of both franchises like me to geek out over, and I just couldn't be happier with it. So just like the movie, it was a good month for Batman and TMNT stories. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of 5 Game of Thrones predictions, or Game of Thrones ending predictions that Tim and Dane have. That will be wrong. Love this issue, so can't wait to see where it goes from here. So with that, that's the end of my Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gushing when it comes to the movie and comic book series. But I had a blast talking about it, because it was really all that I was hoping it would be, and how much fun I knew it would be getting to talk to you about it, Dane. So that's going to do it for this one. But as always, I'll throw it to you for the outro.
All right, just go over to BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles @BatmanUniverse. Show's Twitter handles @Bat-Fans Podcast. Tim's Twitter handles @TimG311. My Twitter handles @DaneSaysBanana. You can email the show at batfans@allpants@gmail.com. And is that it? Oh, rate and reviews on iTunes. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our bat and shell hearts.
Shell hearts. I like that. We'll see you guys next time, everybody.
See you next time, everybody.
scared.